myself Dr. Tanushri Chatterjee. Welcome in the SWAYAM course of Fundamental of Computational Biology. Today I will be discussing about Introduction to Mutation and its importance. As we all know, DNA is the recipe for all life on earth by coding for proteins that the entire organism is made of. Our bodies have complex system in place that make sure our DNA is organized properly and that each new cell gets a complete and unchanged copy. If the complex system involved in copying DNA fails, or if bad things are present in the environment, a mistake in the sequence of DNA can occur. These mistakes, called mutation, can happen at any phase of life, beginning with a growing baby's first cell all the way to an adult's mature cells. Some mutations cause serious health problems. A genetic mutation is a change in a sequence of our DNA. Our DNA sequence gives cells the information they need to perform their functions. If part of our DNA sequence is damaged, we might experience symptoms of a genetic condition. The human body might look as a simple organism, but it is the combination of many different complex processes. From outside, a human body might resemble a very simple one, a body having 2 arms, 2 legs and 1 head for monitoring purposes. But from inside the body, there are many surprises yet to be discovered. One of the major surprises was the genetic sequence of humans. This is still a field where scientists are working to find one of the major surprises was the genetic sequences of humans. This is still a field where scientists are working to find out some important details. Genes or DNA are the microcontroller area in the human body. They are probably most important than the brain, as the brain is also functioning with the help of DNA and its sequences. Any changes in this structure might be fatal for the body. Mutation is that one type of change in our DNA which can be fatal. The precise transmission of genetic information from one generation to the next is fundamental to life. Most of the time, this process unfolds with remarkable accuracy, but when it goes haywire, mutations can arise, some of them beneficial, some of them inconsequential and some of them causing malfunction and disease. Yet precisely where and how heritable genetic mutations tend to arise in humans has remained largely unknown. Genetic mutations are alterations or changes that occur in an organism's DNA sequence. These mutations can take many forms and can happen spontaneously or be induced by external factors. A mutation is a change in the DNA sequence of an organism which can result from error in DNA relation during cell division, exposure to mutagens or a viral infection. Germline mutation that occur in eggs and sperms can be passed on to offspring, while somatic mutations that occur in body cells are usually not passed on. Actually, mutations are happening in our cells of all the time, but almost none of these actually affect our health. This is very different than what we see in science fiction in movies. In real life, a mutation is never so impactful that it turns a person into a superhero or does something unusual like cause them to grow wings. There are many reasons that mutations usually do not have major consequences. One reason is that our cells have very classified machinery for repairing mutations very quickly. So, there is not enough time for them to cause problems. Another is that most of the mutations occur in somatic cells such as muscle cells or skin cells, but if mutations occur in germline cells such as eggs and sperms, then they will be present in every cell that develops from that particular egg or sperm or an entire person and can have larger effects. Let us now see the pictorial representation of this in the next slide. You can see in pictorial presentation very clearly. Now, when do genetic mutation happen? Genetic mutations occur during cell division when our cells divide and replicate. There are two types of cell division, we all know, mitosis and the second one is meiosis. So, in mitosis it is the process of making new cells for our body. During mitosis our gene instruct our cell to split into two by making a copy of our chromosome. And in meiosis, it is the process of making egg and sperm cells for the next generation. During meiosis, chromosome copy themselves with half the amount of chromosomes as the original from 46 to 23. That is how we are able to get our genetic material equally from each parent. You can see here the cell division, mitosis, stages of mitosis and stages of meiosis here. Now, how do genetic mutation happen? Genetic mutations occur during cell division. When our cells divide, they basically write our body's instruction manually. There is a lot of room for error during cell division, because our cells might substitute, or you can say replace, delete or remove or insert or add letters while they are copying. If we have an error, that means genetic mutation, our genetic instruction manual for our cells may not be readable by the cells, or may have missing parts or unnecessary parts added. All of this can mean that our cells can't function as they normally should. Now, how do genetic mutation affect other organs? A genetic mutation changes the information our cells need to form and function. Our genes are responsible for making protein that tell our body what physical characteristics we should have. If we have a genetic mutation, we could experience symptoms of a genetic condition because our cells are doing a different job than they should be. There are many different diseases and conditions caused by mutation. With the help of signs and symptoms, we can recognize them. For example, physical characteristics like facial abnormalities, a cleft palate, very common disease, webbed fingers and toes or short stature. Problem with cognitive function and development delays, or vision or hearing loss, breathing problems, increased risk of developing cancer and many other. So, these are the few examples. So, are the genetic mutation bad? Not all genetic mutation lead to genetic disorder. Some genetic mutations do not have any effect on our health and well-being. This is because the changes in the DNA sequence does not change how our cell functions. Our body also has enzymes, which are a substance that create chemical reaction in our body. These enzymes help our body protect itself from disease, and enzymes can repair a variety of genetic mutations. Some genetic mutations even have a positive effect or human. Changes in how cells work can sometimes improve the proteins that our cells produce and allow them to adapt to changes in our environment. An example of a positive genetic mutation is one that can protect a person from acquiring heart disease or diabetes, even with a history of smoking or being overweight. Rat is hairless. You can see this rat. Is it looking like a hairless? Yes. Why? It is the result of a mutation. a change in the DNA sequence, the effect of mutations can vary widely, from being beneficial to having no effect, no having lethal consequences, and every possibility in between. Now, effect of mutations. What are the effect of mutations? The majority of mutations have neither negative nor positive effects on the organism in which they occur. These mutations are called neutral mutations. For example, it include silent point mutations. They are neutral because they do not change the amino acids in the protein they encode. Many other mutations have no effect on the organism because they are repaired before protein synthesis occur. Cells have multiple repair mechanism to fix mutations in DNA. So, this is the example of neutral mutation. Now, beneficial mutation. What is beneficial mutations? Some mutations have a positive effect on the organism in which they occur. They are called beneficial mutations. They lead to new versions of proteins that help organisms adapt to changes in their environment. Beneficial mutations are essential for evolution to occur. The increase and organism change of surviving or reproducing, so they are likely to become more common over time. Now, what are harmful mutations? Some are beneficial mutations, some are harmful mutations. So, harmful mutations may cause genetic disorder or cancer. A genetic disorder is a disease caused by a mutation in one or a few genes. A human example is cystic fibrosis. Mutation in a single gene causes the body to produce thick, sticky mucus that clogs to the lungs and block ducts in the digestive organ. Cancer, we all are familiar with the cancer. Cancer is a disease in which cells grow out of control, uncontrolled way, and form abnormal masses of cells. It is generally caused by mutation in genes that regulate the cell cycle. Because of the mutations, cells with damaged DNA are allowed to divide without limits. Cancer genes can be inherited. These are the types of mutation. You can say here at the DNA level, the substitutions, deletions, insertion and inversion. 4 steps: the substitution, deletion, insertion and inversion. So, these are the types of mutations. We all understand that mutation is lethal for the human body, as DNA is going to generate proteins for the body's different tasks. If there is a change in the DNA structure, then the protein formation will also get affected. This can be demonstrated with a simple example. anyone's DNA is faced with the mutation process, then there will be a change in the mRNA process. So, the damaged DNA will produce nearly 100 damaged mRNA, and from that damaged mRNA nearly 50,000 improper protein will get produced, which is absolutely highly undesirable. So, these are the types of mutation at the chromosomal level, may be structural or may be numerical. If we change the number of the chromosome or structurally, they are different. So, two types of mutation, structural and numerical. So, in structural mutation, chromosomal alteration are mutations that change chromosome structure. They occur when a selection of a chromosome break off and rejoin incorrectly or does not rejoin at all. You can see this picture, the structural mutation. Next one is the numerical mutation. Here the number of chromosomes gets changed. There are two types of numerical mutation. First one is polyploidy. In this case, the number of chromosome increases. In a normal case, there are 23 pair of chromosomes are present in the body, but here chromosome number will increase from 23 pair to more. This is known as polyploidy. So, what is polyploidy and what is aneuploidy? You can see here the aneuploidy is the another subtype of the numerical mutation, where the number of chromosomes decreases. This means the number of chromosomes in the body will be less than the 23 pairs. Then what is spontaneous mutation? Spontaneous, what do you mean by spontaneous? Spontaneous mutation is a special type of mutation. In this case, the mutation is happening in the body without any external factor. This means the mutation is started in the body due to some internal factor. In this case, the mutation process is known as spontaneous mutation. Next one is induced mutation. So, this is the opposite of the spontaneous mutation process. In this case, the mutation is not happening in the body automatically, rather there some external agents are responsible for causing the mutation. Next one is the substitution mutation. A substitution is a mutation that exchanges one base for another. For example, a change in a single chemical letter, such as switching an A to G. Such a substitution could change a codon to one that encodes a different amino acid and cause a small change in the protein produced. For example, you can see in the sickle cell, such a substitution could change a codon to one that encode a different amino acid that cause a small change in the protein produced. For example, sickle cell anemia is caused by a substitution in the beta hemoglobin gene, which alter a single amino acid in the protein produced. It changes a codon to one that encodes the same amino acid and causes no change in the protein produced. These are called silent mutations. They may also change an amino acid coding codon to a single stop codon and cause an incomplete protein. This can have serious effects since the incomplete protein probably won't function. Next is insertion mutation. Insertions are mutations in which extra base pairs are inserted into a new place in the DNA. So, in insertion mutation, insertions are mutations in which extra base pairs are inserted into a new place in the DNA, and in deletion mutation, deletions are mutations in which a section of DNA is lost or deleted. Next one is frame shift mutation. Since protein coding DNA is divided into codon 3 bases, long insertions and deletions can alter a gene so that its message is no longer correctly delivered. These changes are called frame shift. So, mutations are at the molecular level, there are two types, neutral and non-neutral. So, neutral mutations are, in this the mutation process that can be viewed in every human body. This mutation always goes on in the body, but this mutation does not react to any places in the body. This mutation will not help to survive in nature, nor this mutation is liable for the disappearance of any creature from nature. This follows a neutral concept. Next one is the non-neutral mutation. This mutation process is different from the neutral mutation process. This is not the mutation process that occurs in the body every time. This mutation is the key factor for the evolution process. If this mutation happens in the body, it might have two effects. In one case, the mutation gives new traits to the species that might survive in nature. In another case, it might remove some traits from the species. So, the species which get disappear from nature eventually. So, what are the causes of mutation? For example, DNA fails to copy accurately. Most of the mutations that we think matter to evolution are naturally occurring. For example, when a cell divides, it makes a copy of its DNA, and sometimes the copy is not quite perfect. That small difference from the original DNA sequence is a mutation. Next, for the external influences can create mutation. Mutation can also be caused by exposure to specific chemicals or radiation. These agents cause the DNA to break down. Nevertheless, when the cells repair the DNA, it might not do a perfect job of a repair. So, the cell would end up with DNA slightly different than the original DNA and hence a mutation. You can see very clearly in this chart the different type of mutagens, how they affect in our body and how we can cure it. Now, gene therapy. When a gene mutation, a permanent alteration in the DNA sequence causes a protein to be missing or faulty, gene therapy may be able to restore the normal function of that protein. These are several different approaches to gene therapy. Introducing a new or modified copy of a gene, turning on or off genes to abort diseases, replacing the disease causing sequence of a gene with a healthy copy of that sequence. Genetic mutations are of paramount importance in various aspects of biology and genetics, and their significance can be understood in several key ways. In diversity population, genetic mutations are one of the primary drivers of genetic diversity within populations. They introduce variations in DNA sequences, creating differences in traits and characteristics among individuals. This diversity is critical for a species' ability to adapt to changing environments and challenges. If we see the evolution, genetic mutations are the foundation of evolutionary processes. Mutations that confer advantages in specific environments or circumstances can become more prevalent in a population over the time through natural selection. This leads to the development of new traits and eventually the formation of new species. If we see the genetic diseases, mutation can also lead to genetic diseases and disorders in humans and other organisms. Harmful mutations can disrupt normal biological processes, causing health problems. Understanding this mutation is crucial for diagnosing and treating genetic diseases. In biomedical research, genetic mutations play a central role in biomedical research. Scientists study mutations to gain insight into the genetic basis of diseases, develop targeted therapies and explore potential treatments for genetic disorders. Cancer. In cancer, many types of cancer are driven by mutation in genes that regulate cell growth and division. Understanding this mutation is essential for cancer research, diagnosis and the development of personalized cancer treatment. In genetic engineering, genetic mutations are harnessed in genetic engineering and biotechnology to modify organism for various purposes. Scientists can introduce specific mutation to enhance crop yield, produce medicines or create genetically modified organisms with desirable traits. Phylogenetics. Genetic mutations are used in phylogenetics, a field of biology that studies the evolutionary relationship between species by analyzing DNA sequences and the mutations they contain. Researchers can reconstruct evolutionary trees and trace the history of life on earth. In forensic science, if we see in the forensic science, genetic mutations play a role in forensic science. DNA analysis can be used to identify individuals by examining specific genetic markers and mutations unique to each person. This is crucial in solving crimes and identifying human remains. In conservation biology, genetic mutation can influence the survival and adaptability of species in the face of environmental changes and threats. Conservation biologists use genetic information to assess the genetic health of endangered species and develop strategies for their preservation. Genetic mutations are pivotal in shaping the genetic diversity of life, driving evolution, contributing to both health and diseases, and playing crucial roles in scientific research and practical applications across various fields. They are a fundamental aspect of genetics and biology. Central to our understanding of life on earth. In summary, we can say mutations are essential for genetic diversity, evolution and the development of traits in living organism. They can occur spontaneously or be introduced by external factor and can have a wide range of effects from neutral to beneficial or harmful. Understanding mutation is central to the field of genetics, evolution and biology as a whole.